Last year, I reviewed a game called The Fruit of Grisaya. It was a visual novel about teenage angst, makeout sessions, bitchy backstabbing, cannibalism, and a lot of erotic bathing scenes. It wasn't my thing, and not just because it dealt with the sexual escapades of teenagers. That experience made me realize that I don't have a lot of time or patience to play visual novels, so I decided to leave those reviews for other people. As it turns out, my vow to avoid visual novels only lasted 15 months. When Winter Novel landed on my desk, I was immediately taken by the unique ASCII art and likable characters. It wasn't attempting to recreate the fantasies of schoolgirls, but rather tell a sweet love story about two cynical souls that have a lot more in common than they initially think. And best of all, it only takes an hour to experience this journey. Winter Novel centers around a lonely young woman named Svetlana, who hates her job at the bank and feels life is slowly passing her by. When her tyrannical boss puts Sveta in charge of redesigning the company's website, she's forced to team up with Vlad, a freelance designer who's used to working by himself in the comfort of his own home. These two don't hit it off at first, with Vlad having trouble acclimating to the 9-to-5 grind and Sveta overwhelmed by the amount of work being piled on her. She has good reason to feel overwhelmed, as we quickly discover that her boss is scamming the system, attempting to use a loophole to get out of paying for expensive computer work. The website team has been set up to fail an impossible task. Winter Novel plays out over the course of a week, showing how Vlad and Svetlana slowly grow closer as the job becomes increasingly tougher. They bond over the love of fantasy books, milk chocolate, and being overwhelmed by a borderline abusive boss. It's a familiar story, but it's handled well and both characters are easy to relate to. This is not the type of visual novel where you make choices and solve puzzles. There's a linear story here that you read one line at a time, which certainly won't appeal to gamers looking for fast action. This is a game specifically targeting fans of visual novels who are looking for a short and sweet little love story set in a bank. If you're not a fan of visual novels, I doubt Winter Novel is going to do much to change your mind. Although I largely enjoyed the journey, I do wish the story was a little less predictable. This isn't one of those visual novels where there's a twist around every corner. Winter Novel pretty much plays out how you expect. The dialogue is a little corny at times, and the situation isn't very original. But the heart is in the right spot, and the story is easy to relate to. What I didn't like were the typos, which involve misspelling simple words like a lot and polite. While the story may not be very original, the unique art style goes a long way to set it apart from the typical anime-inspired visual novel. I like the ASCII look, even though it wasn't always clear what Vlad and Sveta are standing in front of. If you really want to challenge your eyes, try playing through the entire game with the colors turned off. Ugh. Winter Novel is a sweet story that won't take long to go through, which is perfect for fans of visual novels who don't want to get tied down to a lengthy read. It's a little predictable, and I wish there was more variety to the visuals, but the likable cast helped me get through the journey. Whether or not it makes me want to dive into reviewing other visual novels is a completely different story. Hey, thanks for watching our review. I know this isn't the type of game we tend to review, but I like throwing surprises your way. I have a bunch of bite-sized games to get through this week, including a look at Reptilian Rebellion and Dogos. I also have a few larger games to talk about. And we're going to be taking a look at what old-school critics thought of the Super NES launch lineup. That system's almost 25 years old. Can you believe it? Anyway, you should click the subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.